So I'm glad Stephen picked that song because Ishq being the sticky glue of the universe, and when you say Ma'bud Layla, it's this tender expression between God and you. God is saying to you, my precious one, Ma'bud Layla. And you're saying to God, you're my precious one, Ma'bud Layla. So it's starting out exactly with what I want to talk about. So, what is a Sufi? Sufis are living for God alone. They're considered the great lovers of God in all traditions, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, goddess traditions, Zoroastrianism, you name it, and there are mystics within that core tradition. And there is a beautiful stream that has connected that way of feeling love for all beings, irregardless of any differences or distinctions. Sufis are all about oneness. So I have no doubt that all the folks here in this room have ancient cellular memories and still are Sufis. Maybe you just don't want to realize it yet. Sufis' message is always the message of the day. They're experiential. They don't have a lot of dogma, and there are actually 10 Sufi thoughts I will read in a minute as part of our meditation. Each thought has the word oneness in it. It's pretty minimalist. Its whole idea is spiritual freedom. Believe what you want. Beliefs are a dime a dozen. We can believe one thing today and believe another thing next week, and we watch ourselves doing that, but the core of us is love, and the main thing we want to keep in mind is just if we stay in that love with ourselves, with God, and with others, then our lives go smoothly, synchronistically. So Sufis are the eternal brotherhood, sisterhood of lovers of God within all traditions. And being in the nature of, what's happening, looking at what's happening in our lives, in our minds, in our hearts, experiential, the message of the day. I got a message last night, and I know I was to share it today. And it is a little more on the traces of Sufism. And I had known that they have been traced back to Egyptian times, the Zoroastrian period. Christian mystics were Sufis. I had kind of known that, and that's what I was going to tell you. But what came last night was absolutely amazing, and I'm going to post this article on my website tomorrow. And so how many of you are familiar with Gurdjieff? Okay, so we hear things once in a while, and that's a quote from him. He was a great mystic, philosopher in the first half of the 1900s. Anyways, I didn't realize he was a Sufi. And in the last years of his life, he was able to experience a lot of Sufi training. And he also went to southern Russia and did some incredible research and found out many things, and they were in this article. And so for thousands of years, they have been known in different groups as the Friends of Truth, the Builders, the Masters, the People of the Way. The word Sophos could have something to do with the word Sufi, meaning wisdom, the goddess Sophia. Ein Sof, Kabbalistic term meaning unknowable, Jewish term. But what Gurdjieff found out is that going back to when the pyramids were being built in Babylon, about 2500 BC, there was a very strong group of Sufis. And, Pythagoras, who you've heard of, we still do Pythagorean geometry if we're a lot smarter than I am. But Zoroaster taught Pythagoras, and So he has documented that in southern Asia, this group called the Sarmons, in the height of Sumeria, called the Inner Circle, the Hidden Circle, Assembly of the Living Saints of the Earth. These are great names. And so for 40,000 years, Gurdjieff was able to trace roots of the Sufi movement 40,000 years ago in southern Russia in some of these groups. And we know that under the Zoroastrian clans, Sufis kind of switched their allegiance to the Muslim country, thinking there was going to be a better way for it to be carried forth. And indeed, Jewish, Christian, and Muslims lived until the 15th century in great harmony in that area. And they incorporated the esoteric beliefs, the wisdom traditions. And so wherever Sufis have gone, they've shared their wisdom, they've incorporated wisdom from others, and this is still happening today. In the article, it talks about the Knights Templar bringing back secret knowledge, the cream of the Sufi thoughts, to enrich, Christian theology. So these are some things I really didn't know, and so now I have 20 words. I could Google each of these amazing words for who the Sufis were. But basically, none of that matters. It's just very interesting. It's very interesting to our minds. And the Sufi movement came to America. Hazrat Inayat Khan was the first song that we sang. And in 1910, he came here from India. He had 16 generations of spiritual teachers, 5 generations of musicians. And Hazrat Inayat Khan spread Sufism. And there are several groups now. We belong to the Ruhaniyat International Order. But the basic premise is the same in all of these groups of westernized Sufis. And as Hazrat Inayat Khan said about the origin of Sufism, which can be fascinating, it's never had a historical origin. It existed from the beginning because human beings have always possessed the light. Feeling the awakening call to dedicate ourselves to the path of realization, to overcome the grasping to the notion of a separate self and realize our true nature, which is in unity as the one universal being showing up, doing its thing in our lives. So the awakened souls in every age, the messengers, the avatars, we call them ascended masters sometimes. We hear of their names, of Jesus the Christ, of Gautama Buddha. There's actually a lot of Buddhas. All of these beings were actually Sufis, because in the heart, which is the heart of God, all of us are connected there. And Sufis tend to know that. And that's what's important in their life, is developing their hearts. The minds are fun, but we're working on all these qualities of love and just letting people be how they are, just seeing what's happening that day, being mindful in our lives. So the avatars and the messengers throughout the ages, those that were listening for truth and living in love, for love, that is who Sufis are.